So today I'm going to do some eye studies. To be honest, I've been procrastinating on making this video for so long. I've been having this in the background. I've been meaning to edit the video, but I finally just got around to it just now. I just spent so much time overthinking that once I stopped overthinking, I realized, why didn't I ever post this? So I'm starting off with creating like a light basic sketch of the reference that I'm using. I'm going to draw a couple references in this spread here, but this is just my first one. So you want to make sure that the drawing is as accurate as it can be to the reference. So for this drawing, I'm focusing on accuracy and replicating what I'm seeing. To be honest, it kind of depends on my mood, but I'm starting off here by drawing the darkest shades first. So that would be around the iris and around the areas that I'm drawing here right now, right? So that would be like in the crease of the eyelid. So this pencil, mechanical pencil that I'm using, has like a lot of graphite, so I'm just kind of hatching in some tones for the darker areas, and then I'm just going to blend it out a little bit later. There's a special reason why I'm starting off with drawing the darker areas. Like I said, I mean, it depends on my mood, but it makes everything like so much easier. Once you have like your darkest tone on the paper, you know how light and how dark to make everything else, right? Well, at least I do anyway, right? Here I'm just building up the layers of the values, getting in those values onto the paper. I'm doing a lot of observing here and comparing my drawing to the reference to make sure that the values match the reference. And you know I'm not forgetting those lashes. You know she has some. This is my favorite part. I'm adding the lashes and I'm doing the highlights. This is what makes everything looks much more realistic. Sorry to mention this, but I forgot to record the blending, so that's where I ended things. So now on to my second eye study. So it was just like I did with the first one, I am doing the basic sketch for this as well. So I'm just kind of following along the same process, just with different references. So many people ask me about this tool. This is just a beauty blender that I got from the dollar store. So I am a lazy drawer. So if I can find anything that makes the drawing process a lot shorter and may make me have to do like less work, then I'm gonna use it. And you know, we're filling in her brow. She has nice thick brows. I'm trying to capture that. And some lashes. She didn't buy them. Those are hers. Those are natural. Okay, so on to my third drawing here. It's the third time, so you already know. Drawing in that basic sketch, drawing in the darker tones first, making sure it's as accurate as possible, because if it's not accurate, I'm going to be so upset if it just doesn't look right in the end. Then I'll have to start all over again. Or I'll just quit drawing the eye study, but you know. See, I got lazy again, so I pulled out the beauty blender, and you see how smooth it makes everything look? That's what I like. That's what I love. And it did it so quick and so fast. I used to do this with like a makeup brush, but honestly, once I switched over to this, it took like 10 to 15 seconds compared to like 5-10 minutes of like blending. So that's why I now only use the makeup beauty blender instead. And then sometimes I use like the makeup brush, but that's when like the eye is like really small. I'm continuing to build those layers up. It's best to build up the layers. So here's like a really good tip. When you're trying to get a really dark value onto the paper, build it. Keep building it up and don't blend it after. So put the value down and then get as much of the area as you can, and then once you completed it, just add another layer to it and you'll see it get darker and darker and darker. If you blend it, whatever you blend it with, it'll end up picking up the graphite off the paper, so that's what you don't want. So if you want to ever get really dark values, don't blend them, add layers. Things really pop once you add the highlight in the end, so don't be too upset that and question yourself and feel like, oh, it doesn't look as realistic. Don't worry. The details and the highlights will make everything pop and make everything look much more realistic in the end. You gotta trust the process. Everything on paper, as you're drawing, up until like the last 10 to 15 minutes, it's gonna look like garbage. And I hate that, and it's kind of depressing, but that's the reality of it. It looks the nicest the last 10 minutes. And then, doing her lashes. This is, I believe it's like a 6B or a 9B pencil. It's like a matte graphite pencil. So I noticed that the matte graphite pencils look much darker compared to the regular graphite pencils. I think the glare makes everything look much lighter with the regular graphite, so the matte graphite pencils don't have that. Alright, and here's my next reference. See, here I'm starting to become a little bit more like confident, and the eyes are looking more and more realistic. If you pay attention, the first and the second, they don't look as realistic as the third one does. I think once you relax and you finally get into the groove of drawing, for some reason things always end up looking much better. Yeah, because you end up thinking less. I guess that explains why when you're really relaxed, like in like class or something like that, that's when your drawings come out the best, because you're so invested in the process. So hence I think that's why they're becoming much better. Once again, I'm drawing the darker values first. Here's something really interesting. I notice whenever I'm drawing a portrait or an eye study or anything like that involving drawing eyes, it doesn't look right unless I darken the eyes. Everything looks off until I darken the eyes. So whenever I try to draw a portrait, I always at least shade in the eyes before I do anything else on the face, because it just doesn't look right. Everything seems off. So that's why you see I'm kind of shading in the iris first, and then I'm going around the eye. So, communicating that depth by adding layers. Also adding more layers under the eyelids so to communicate depth through the drawing. Then using my beauty blender here to kind of quicken the process a little bit and add some smoothness to the references eyes and skin, so it appears much more natural. If you're thinking about using a beauty blender in your process, I honestly highly recommend it. So if you want your beauty blender to kind of quicken the process, you don't have to do too much shading with the pencil. I recommend kind of making a large square of graphite, or a small square, doesn't even really matter the size of the square, to be honest, and then have the beauty blender pick up some of that graphite, so you have something to blend into the paper when you then use the beauty blender for a drawing. Because if it has no graphite in the beauty blender, what would then happen is you would end up picking up the graphite off of the drawing. So instead of darkening your drawing with the beauty blender on the graphite, you would then do the opposite. You end up lightening it. So that's just an FYI. So for this one, I just wanted to add some texture, so that's why I added texture to the inner eye. I was really enjoying how nice contrast looks in the eyes, around the eyes, and I was just kind of over the smoothness, so I wanted to add some texture for this one. So finally, we're on to my last little reference here. So I think I wanted to try something a little bit different, go for more of like a regular eye. Another tip that I just remembered, when you're shading, make sure you're shading all in the same direction if you're shading a specific area, because if you shade in all different directions, it's not going to look smooth. Laziness. There it is. I got lazy and I brought out the beauty blender again. But you know what? It's okay. It saved us like 20-30 minutes. Who knows? It's fine. So what really brought out the realistic look of this eye study is the fact that I shaded all the right places. So it's not about shading everything, it's about shading all of the right places to make it look as realistic as possible. So you'll get that done with practice. There's not much thought to it. It's more about noticing and observing, and then as time goes on, you'll be better at picking up where to shave, where not to shave. And I'm finally doing her lashes. I always think the lashes look best when they're coupled together, a couple lashes, like 2 or 3 lashes coupled together. That makes it look so great. And here is the up-close look of each eye study that I did. There's so much detail and time that went into this. I think in total it took me about 4 hours. So this wasn't all done in just one sitting. This was all done in one day, so it did take a lot. So I hope you like the eye studies, and let me know if you want to do any other kind of eye studies. Thanks for watching.